Hey everyone, in today's Fusion tutorial video we're going to have a look at our next little project, which is mainly looking at the loft command and making other 3D objects like that. So we're going to aim at making a toothpaste tube, toothbrush, and then we'll also look at trying to make a more detailed scene like the one you can see on the screen at the minute, and then what cloud rendering to make it look photorealistic. So what we're going to cover in this project, so we're going to break it down into 4 parts like the other ones. So the first part is going to be making the toothpaste tube itself. So that'll be introduction to the loft command, recapping using surface modeling workspace to make things like the lids and little details like that. The sweep command, which we'll use to make it look like toothpaste is coming out. Pattern along the path, circular pattern, splitting faces so that we can add more materials and adding decals to make it look photorealistic. Second part, we're going to look at modeling the actual toothbrush. So we'll look at creating multiple components for that. We'll recap the revolve command. We'll go back over the loft command again, looking at split body, push pull, and again adding materials, trying to make it look realistic, particularly for your second year A-level projects. Then in the third one, we'll look at adding materials overall, so combining multiple files that are in, so models that are in multiple different files, trying to combine them into one big file. Then how do we make sure your models look as realistic as possible? Then following on from that bit is creating that good high quality scene that you saw at the beginning. So it's quite a long video, it's about an hour and a half long video, but by all means don't try and do it all in one go. It is meant to be done over 4 1 hour lessons. But have a look through, and then if you've got questions, let me know. Okay, so once you've got Fusion open, we are going to begin with doing the toothpaste tube. So we're going to go and create a sketch, and then we are going to choose this side plane here. So to begin with, we're going to go to rectangle. Now just be aware as well, I've not gone over this yet in any of the previous videos. There are a few different ways you can draw rectangles. To begin with, normally it does corner to corner. So I click one corner and I can pick the other corner like that. The other really useful way to do, if I delete that one, is you can, if I go back to rectangle again, you can do center rectangle. So that will let you find the middle and draw outwards. So for what we want, that's going to be a lot easier to be a bit more accurate to it. So we're going to start with a rectangle and we're going to do 50 mil, then hit tab on the keyboard, so switch to the other one by 2 and hit enter. So now so far when we were doing shapes, we've used extrude and we've used revolve. So those are quite simple methods for making shapes. If you've got a certain shape that can't be made in that way, the other one really to use is loft. So we're going to try and loft that to another surface. Now we need to have another sketched profile to loft it to. So we're going to go on finish sketch, and then we're going to construct and go on offset plane and just click on that profile. And we can drag this out however far we want. So what we are going to do, we are going to do a distance of 170 and hit enter. And then we're going to click on create a sketch like that. And then we're going to draw a circle, and we're going to make sure that we're going to do it from the center so that the centers of both profiles line up. We're going to click outwards, and we would like to do 35 mil like that, and hit enter, and then hit finish sketch. So you should have 2 profiles. One is your rectangle and one is your circle. So we want to join those 2 together in like a shape. So we're going to go to create and go to loft. And what you need to do is select which profile. So we're going to select this one and this one and hit OK. So already we've sort of got a toothpaste tube kind of shape that we want. Now looking at this shape, it's not a complex shape, but you couldn't really have created that by doing like a sketch and extruding it. You couldn't have really revolved anything. So yeah, any other unusual kind of shape and loft is normally the way to go. And you can go back and change later on. So for example, if I go and edit sketch here, and then if I take this and say if I was to rotate it and finish, you'll see that it will rotate it and make it a little bit more unusual that way. So there is lots of things you can play around with lofting. So we've got the first little basic shape, so we're going to do a few more lofts as we're going along. So we next are going to create another offset plane. So we're going to go to construct. Now with offset planes, you can go to construct and come down here, but if you just hit this top icon, that's because offset planes are the most frequently used one. That's the hotkey for it. I'm going to click on this surface, and we would like to come out 5 mil. And hit OK. So on this, we are then going to create a sketch, and we're going to create a sketch that is 20 mil. Again, making sure we're in the center. and we're going to do 20mm, hit enter, and finish sketch. So we're then going to loft this profile here to the new sketch we just done. So we're going to create and loft. So I'm going to click that one there to here. Now to show you, so that's what we want, but it matters where you click. So if I click on this, like right in the middle little dot, you'll see what happens is rather than going to the whole profile, it's just going to that very, very specific dot. So just be aware with lofting, it does matter where you click. Okay, so it's important you make sure you click in the right place. So I'll just come out of that one. Let's just, excuse me. So let's just go back, go to create and loft. So this profile to there. Okay, now we could have done loads and loads of sketches to begin with before doing any lofting. I personally prefer to do two profiles, loft them and sort of build it up that way because you can start to see it coming together a bit more. Some people like to do all of the sketching first and then loft it all in one go. It really is down to preference really. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Okay, so next we are going to do another offset plane. So we're going to click on there. We're going to come up 11mm, hit enter. Going to create a sketch. And again, from the middle, I want to do a circle that is 15mm. So I'll do 15, hit enter, finish sketch. Go to create and loft. So I want to do that profile to that profile. Okay, and as you can see, we'll just a second, you definitely starting to get the shape of a toothpaste tube sort of shape. So we've got a couple more lofts left to go. So we'll go to offset again. Let's come up 5mm, and then we will create a sketch. Again, from the center, let's do another 15mm circle. Hit enter, finish sketch, create, go to loft, like that. So that is the basic overall shape that we need. So we want to make sure we make it look more realistic. So there's a few other things we're going to do. So first of all, let's create a lid. So like we did with the Coca-Cola tutorial, so we're going to go up to surface, and we are going to, so there's two different lids you could do. Some people like to use a thread and do like a screw top lid, or you can do the little hinged lid kind of one, which is the one we're going to go with. So I'm going to go to create and offset. So I'm going to click on this surface. I'm going to come out 0.5, and you can just do 0.5. You don't need to do 0.5. It will know what you're on about. And I'm going to hit OK. And if I just jump back over to bodies again, so you can see I've got the solid body and then I've got my surface body there. So remember, with surfacing, to begin with, it's just like paper thin. Okay, it's not a solid body, so we can actually edit it and make it mess around with it. So we're going to, at the minute, we've just got the cylinder. We want it to be a full-on lid, so we're going to create patch and click on the surface we want to patch, which will cover the top bit. And then at the minute, there are two separate ones, so I can turn one off or the other off. So I want them to be together, so we're going to stitch. So I'm going to click on stitch, stitch that one to that one together, and it'll show you a little green line to show it will stitch it. Okay. So back over to the left-hand side, you can see I have just got one surface done. Okay, so then let's thicken that. So let's go to create and thicken. I'll select all of it, and again I'll do 0.5. Hit enter. So you can see straight away I have got a body that has now appeared, and if I turn my other body back on, so you can see I've got a lid that matches up. So I'm just going to save this just so I know it's all, or save as enabled. Remember, when you save first time, you then don't need to save again because it will keep saving constantly as you're working, so it's very important to keep doing that. And I know for a fact now I haven't done it as components yet because I want to do it all together and then I'll make it bodies from components. So from this lid, again, we want to add little details to make it look more realistic. So with our lid, let's go on move, and I'm going to have this open a little bit, I think. So let's rotate it around a little bit. Okay. The trickiest thing really with most CAD packages are trying to move in 3 dimensions. It does get a little bit fiddly sometimes, so it can be a little bit irritating. but it's always a good idea to sort of do a little bit, hit OK, and keep checking to see where you're up to. Now I've left a little gap because I'm going to do a little hinge that goes with that in a second. Okay, so I've got my lid where I want it. So let's add a few little details. So I'm going to jump back over to solid. So do make sure you check which area you're in. So in the minute we're in surface, I don't want to be in surface anymore. I want to be in solids. So I want to make those little ribs sort of like grippy parts to the lid. So I'm going to construct, and I'm going to go to tangent plane. So I'll click on this surface, and what that has then done is made a plane just on the very surface of that circle that I can then pattern around. So I'm going to click on sketch, and let's just rotate around a little bit like that. So now I'm going to press P for project and just project that body, so I can use that geometry in a second, and I'll create a rectangle. Now you can't draw rectangles in a diagonal to begin with, so you need to draw it. Hit escape on my keyboard, and then if I double click, select the whole thing, right click and move, then I can move it into place as I want. And then let's bring it down like that. And I don't really want it to go right up to the very top, so what I might then do is offset. Let's click on that, and let's come down 0.5. This is why I projected as well, so I can project the actual surface. I'm going to go minus 0.5, like that. And the only reason I did that was so that I can just grab this profile that I want here. Okay, I'm going to create and pattern, circular pattern. But let's extrude first. I'm going to put E on my keyboard, so I'm going to click on this surface here. Just rotate so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to come down. Okay, now actually I've made myself my life a little bit more difficult, so what I'm going to do, just quickly, I'm just going to go back in time. So I'm going to move to before I did those moves. So then I'm going to do it here instead. So let's do this. I'm going to construct, tangent plane, hit OK. P for project. Oh, start my sketch, sorry. Then I'll hit P for project. Now this way I know I'm going to be exactly in the middle. So that's why I kind of undid what I just did, because I wasn't going to be exactly in the middle. So I'm in the sketch now. So let's do a rectangle. Let's do a center rectangle. So I know I'm going to be exactly in the middle. And then let's do offset again. So we did 0.5. Okay, offset on the other side. So it'd be minus 0.5 because it's going in the opposite direction. Okay, and then I'm going to hit E for extrude. And then I'm going to come down. Let's rotate the other way around so you can see what I'm doing. E for extrude. Let's come down 0.4 or minus 0.4. So just a little play around and see what you think looks right. Hit enter, and then we'll circular pattern it. So the only reason why I did this before I was moving, because once I moved it, it was going to be a little bit more difficult to get it centered. And if you don't have it centered, it then doesn't look quite right. So we're going to go to pattern, circular pattern, change this to features. I want to do this extrude, and I want to do it around this circle. And then let's play around with, let's say, 25. Enter. So that's about right, I would say. So you can always, if you decide that you need to have more or less, I can always right click here, go edit, and add in more or less later if I want to. Then let's just fill it here. So let's try 0.5. Hit enter. And then if I move back in my history, you'll see that it'll start to move again to where I moved it into place. So I've gone, that's kind of an exercise in going back in time in the timeline and editing things, like doing things again before they happen, so it'll sort itself out. And that is quite a useful little trick to remember to do. So I want to make like a little hinge, so I kind of want to draw in the middle, but at the minute there's no real way for me to do it. So I want to kind of make a mid plane. So I'm going to go on construct, I'm going to go to tangent plane, I'm going to click on the top there, and I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to rotate around, I'm going to do the same on the bottom. Tangent plane, OK. So as you can see there, I've got two planes. Now I want one right in the middle. So I can go to construct and I can go to mid plane. I can click on that surface and hit OK. And then I've got one right in the middle that I can draw on. So I don't need these ones anymore. So I'm going to click on it and hit V, which will hide it. Do the same on the bottom one. So it's two extra steps, but I still end up with the exact plane that I want. So let's create a sketch. Okay, and now we are going to P for project, just to project the body so it will snap on. And the reason why we do that is so that when you get these little dots and these blue lines, it means when you're sketching something, you can snap onto it, because sometimes you can't always do that. So then we are going to just sort of measure out a little bit of how we want our hinge to look. I'm going to have to rotate this one in a second because it's not in line, so let's move that. Let's not do that. Let's just delete that little constraint there. Let's go to move it into position. Now I want to make this quite a bit smaller. Hit enter, so I can then just drag this down a little bit. Let's do the same on this one, drag it down so it comes to there and hit done. Drag this up a little bit. And then I kind of want to make a little bit so they connect together. So I'm going to go to arc, 3-point arc, connect this corner to this corner, and do the same, this corner to this corner. So in fact, let's escape a second. Let's just drag this a little bit so it looks a little bit more. Let's try that. But don't be afraid to try things, and if it doesn't quite look right, you sort of go back later and mess around with it. So let's, in fact, delete that one. Let's try and see how this looks. Let's do arc and try this corner to this corner. That looks a bit better, I feel. So let's finish sketch. I'm going to hit E for extrude. I want to do those three profiles there. Rotate around so you can see that's right in the middle. So I'm going to drag up. Oh, I'll try that again. So I'm going to drag up. At the minute it's only going in one direction, so in the extrude menu I can change that to be symmetric, so it's going to be the same on both sides. I'll drag it up to about there, and rather than cut, let's do join, and hit OK, and you can see there now I've got a decent looking hinge. Now I want to just fillet those so it doesn't look all sharp, so let's just fillet these edges a little bit. Let's try that 8.1. So remember, this is quite a small thing, so you want to make sure if you try and do a fillet and you just try to drag it, you'll find sometimes it'll just say error straight away because the thing you're working on is actually very, very small and you're trying to do a huge fillet, so it's always better to just put in the measurements. Okay, so I've now got my little hinge for my lid. So a few other little features we'll add. Now we obviously need to do like a little hole and things like that, but let's just go to this end over here. So I'm going to click on create a sketch on this end, and then I'm going to go on finish sketch. Now the reason I've done that is once you create a sketch, it's actually made a little profile I can already click onto. So I'm going to click on that, click on E for extrude. I'm going to drag out, and I'm going to bring that out about 4 mil, and hit enter. And then I'm going to chamfer those ends. So let's click on chamfer that. Now I did this rectangle was 2 millimeters wide, so I know let's do a fillet of 1, and those will join together. Hit enter. So you can see it's definitely starting to take the shape a bit more. So then let's go into the top view, and then I can create a sketch on this surface here. Let's go to rectangle. I'll draw a rectangle bigger than the area I need because I only want a little bit of a profile. Go on E, and then I can just select this profile here, and we'll come down. Let's try maybe -0.3. Okay, and then we'll pattern that along this path here. So we go to create pattern, pattern on path. We're going to go to features, select that, extrude, path. We just need a line that goes in the same direction. Now at the minute it says invalid settings because we've not actually dragged it anywhere, but as soon as you start dragging the arrow there, drag it to the end where you want it to go. And then so you can even put in the measurements there for how long it wants to be. So if we say 50, it'll go a little bit over because we've actually come in a little bit from the edge. So let's change that to say, oh, not 58, to 48. And you'll see that that'll come in. And then the amount we want to do, so let's do a little bit of trial and error. Let's try maybe 16, 18, enter. So you see we're sort of getting like the little textured look to the end of the tube that you often see. Now we want to have that on the other side, so we need to mirror that. So again, what we'll do, we'll make a little mid-plane, but because it's flat, it's relatively easy to do. So we're going to do construct mid-plane. So I can click on this surface here, rotate over, and do that surface there. So that's right in the middle. And then again, I can go to create and mirror. I want to mirror features. Just make sure with mirrors and things like that, just make sure you have the right thing selected. So for the most part, we do features. So occasionally we'll do bodies. So go to features. I want to do that extrude, and I want to do that pattern. The mirror plane is that mid plane there. Hit OK, and now if I rotate over, you see it's on the other side, so it saves us having to do the same job multiple times. So starting to look quite nice along there. So what I will do as well is just create a little lip on the inside of this lid so it looks like how the actual lid would snap on. So I'm going to do a little offset. I'm going to come in about there. Let's do the same again. Now remember, you can't offset an offsetted line, so you need to go back to the original line. Let's come out like that. Hit OK, and then we can select that surface. Hit E for extrude. We don't want to come all the way out. Let's come out just a little bit. So this is basically how the lid would like snap on. So we've got the little hinge, but then we've also got the little bit that will click, like pop onto. Now I do want to shell that, but before I do that, I want to try and make it look a little bit more realistic once obviously we've added materials and those sort of things. So what we're going to do is try and make it look like it has been squeezed. So what we want to do is we're going to sort of like do a little bit of an offset plane and sort of do a spline to kind of make it look like it's something that someone's just grabbed the tube and squeezed it, so it looks a bit more realistic. Let's create an offset plane, click on this surface, then let's just drag outwards like that, and then I'm going to click on sketch. And there's no real technical way for this. I'm just going to go to spline, I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to sort of like come in, not too far, just mess around with it a little bit like that. And then remember, with splines you have to hit the arrow, and you can alter these, so I didn't quite like where that one ended up, so let's see if we can bring that down a bit more. There you go. And then done. Now I want to mirror that on the other side, so what I need to do is L for line. I'm going to have a line just going straight through the middle like that. Now your mirror lines don't have to be all the way. A mirror line can literally be like a millimeter long if you really want it to be. So we're going to mirror that across. Now just remember, with mirrors as well, it matters if you're in sketching or if you're in modelling mode. So you can only mirror sketch lines if you're already in a sketch. So we're going to mirror. I want to mirror that line, and the mirror line is that line I just drew there. So you see now that it's cut it straight across. Go to finish sketch, and we're going to go to modify, and we're going to go to split body. I want to split that body. I want to split it using those two lines like that. Hit OK. So you see it's sort of done there. Now if you look on the bodies menu, you can see I've got a lot more bodies there, so I can click on that one, and you can see it's sort of like got little grooves on it now, and we can, if you click on it, and then in your menu it'll underline which one it is, so it's that one. Now we definitely don't want those anymore, so I'm going to just right click and go on remove, right click, remove like that. So I've got 3 bodies now, so I've got the main body there, and I've got the insert, so I actually want to join that, so let's just combine that one and that one, and hit OK, so it's now together. So what is that body then? Let's just see. Okay, so I've not joined that together, so let's just do that as well. Combine those 2 together. So now I've just got one body. Now I want to make that look a little bit more rounded, so we'll just add a little fillet to it. So go to fillet, click on that whole surface. Let's try maybe like 0.2, a little bit more. Okay, and then let's do the same on the side. So I'm going to rotate over, hold control on my keyboard and click on that. And hit OK. Now at the minute obviously it doesn't look that realistic, but that's because we've not had decals and those sort of things on it yet. So let's just jump over to render and see how it looks. So it kind of looks, you can see how it kind of looks like someone has, excuse me, squeeze the tube a little bit. So let's come out of render, go into design. The last little bit before we start trying to make it look more realistic is shell it or put a little hole going through it. So we'll try shell. It might not work now because we've split the body a little bit. So let's just click on that and drag in a little bit. Okay, I don't think it's going to let us because we've split the body a little bit there. So it's going to have a little moment. But we'll see in a second once it's finished. I'm trying to calculate what we're doing. Any second now. Okay, so yeah, it's the same because we split the body a little bit. So let's try 0.1 and see what happens. No, it's not going to like that. Okay, so let's just cancel out of this. Okay, so because we're only after like the appearance of this, what we'll do, we'll put a hole in there instead. If I hadn't have tried to make it look like it'd been squeezed, we wouldn't have that same problem. It would be able to shell it, no problem. But because I was trying to make it look a little bit more realistic, we kind of ran into that problem a little bit. So let's just go to hole, click on that surface there. I can drag that so it goes right in the middle, make it bigger, rotate around so I can see what I'm doing. And then we can drag that all the way down to where we want to go it. And hit OK. So you can see there, at least goes in a little bit. And then there's one other thing, sorry, I wanted to add. So we want to kind of make it look like some toothpaste is coming out. So again, I want to have a mid plane right in the middle. I haven't got one of those, so we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll go to construct, tangent plane. Let's click on this surface here. We'll do the same on the other side. Let's go on this surface here. And the only reason we're doing that is so we can make a mid plane. So we can go to mid plane between there and there. Okay. So we've got one right in the middle, so let's get rid of this one. Again, click on it, press V. Click on this one, press V. So we've got one smack bag in the middle, which is what I wanted. Okay, so we're going to create a sketch. And we don't want to lot out, just a little bit to, again, make it look more real. When we come to rendering things, you want it to look realistic. So we're going to go to arc, 3-point arc, and I'm going to just start in here a little bit. Just click out a little bit and come up. And click escape, so I've got that. Then let's click on finish sketch. So then I want to construct and then plane along a path. So that again, not let me make a plane, but a path can be a line. I'm going to click on this, so it's right at the end. Click on OK, and I'll create a sketch on that plane. And we only want a circle. We want a circle that's slightly smaller than that one. So we'll click and draw out a little bit of a circle. Click on finish, and then what we're going to try and do is sweep. If I can stop rotating crazily, there we go. Go to create and sweep. So the profile I want to sweep is that one. Oh, no, I'm on loft. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. I want to be on sweep. So I'm going to go to create and sweep. So I want to sweep that profile, and the path I want to do it along is that one there. I don't want it to cut. I want it to be a new body. So you can see it sort of looks like it's coming out a little bit. Let's click OK, and then let's just fill at the end so it's not a solid piece, so it kind of looks like a little bit of toothpaste. So in terms of the modelling side of the toothpaste, sorry, I would say that is done. So now we do want to sort of like add materials, render it, make it look a lot more realistic. So I've got a few things that I've added. I've downloaded some images to make it look a little bit more realistic. So what we kind of want to do is go for these sort of graphics here. I've got a few decals we're going to insert as well. So we're going to jump back over to Fusion. Let's come up here. So we'll do the toothpaste first, shall we? So let's go to construct an offset plane, and let's just click on that and drag it out a little bit. Click on OK. And go to start sketch. And we kind of want to make it look like that little toothpaste, sort of like the three colours that you see. So go to arc, 3-point arc, and let's just drag up there. Then let's offset. Oh, escape that. Then let's offset that line, drag it down. Let that and do finish. Then let's go to modify and let's go to split faces rather than bodies. So faces I want to split are those ones there. Just make sure it's selected on both sides, and that end bit. Splitting tools. Now we have to do this in 2 separate times. You can't split with multiple tools, annoyingly. So we're going to click on that one first, and you can see where it's going to cut. Okay, so you can see there's a line there that shows it's been cut, and we're going to do the same again, but our sketch is gone. So we're going to go back over and go to our sketches and go down to the bottom and turn them back again. So just turning the eyeball on turns our sketch on and off. Let's go to modify and split face again. So we want to select there and there, and splitting tool. This time we want the bottom line. Again, you can see where it's going to split. Okay, now I can turn that sketch off. And the only reason we're doing that now is so it will let me put multiple colours on there. So let's just do that now. Let's go to A. Now, for the most part in this one, I've sort of done like ABS, and then I've sort of altered the colours a little bit. So you can bring these colours in. So at the minute, if I do that, it's going to do the whole body because we want to have it up here as faces. So make sure you have faces selected. ABS. So now I should be able to drag that in. No problem. It'll come into InDesign. Let's drag that in. Rotate it around. Okay, so then if I want to right click duplicate because I want to change the color of this one, and let's go for like a light blue. So you can see it looks a little kind of toothpaste-y. Let's bring that over here. Zoom in so we make sure we're getting this little bit of detail there. And then we want to duplicate again. We want like a red. Again, a nice light red. Let's try like that. Yeah, nice little pink. Now I want it to actually go here. And then let's bring the white in the middle. So it's starting to look like toothpaste a little bit more. Don't worry, these lines will not be visible once you render it. So I'll show you now. So it's always worth remembering to jump in and out of render to see how things are looking. So let's just go to design and render. So you can see it's starting to look like toothpaste. So let's jump out of there. Okay, so now let's try and do the overall design of the tube itself. So we've got this image here, so we're sort of going to go like this sweeping sort of line. So let's go to create sketch, and that rotate round, and let's do an arc, 3-point arc, and let's sort of go like there, there. Enter, and then you can keep altering these a little bit, make it look a little bit more refined. So we've done that, and then let's do a couple more lines across. Escape and do line again. Like that. I'm going to finish sketch. So we're going to modify split face, not bodies. So we need to select which one's going to split. So we're going to split this one. Let's then also, I'm going to split here a little bit as well. Let's rotate it over. I'll split this side as well. And there. It doesn't intersect with there, so we're okay. Okay, and then we're going to say splitting tool. At first, let's do this one. Okay, again our sketch disappears, but you can see that line is now on both sides. So let's go down, turn on our sketch again, go to modify and split face. So now we want to split, we've got a few more faces to split. Once we start splitting them, it ends up being a little bit more things you need to click on to split. But it's definitely worth doing because it'll make it look a lot more realistic. Splitting tools, let's pick that line there. Take a little second to load, so again you can see a new line appears on that body, and we'll do it one more time. Let's just check it's a bit on the bottom. Yeah. So let's go to modify, split face, click on these faces here just to make sure. Split tool. Oh, we need to make sure we split this face as well. Split tool, this line, like that. Let's turn off our sketch so you can see now we've got those lines, so we can start to add those colours. So we sort of want to go a nice bright blue, bright orange, and then we've got some decals. So let's go to A for appearances, and so we know we've got some white, so let's first of all, what we're going to do, let's go to duplicate and let's make that a little bit of a brighter blue. Okay, that looks about right, and we want to have that on this bit here, so let's drag that, again make sure it's on faces, not bodies, like that. Let's rotate around, do the same on the other side. Let's duplicate that, double click and change that to a nice red. Done. Bring that over, and we actually want to have these need to be red as well. So when you do fillets, it then makes new faces, so that's why we've got to do this multiple times. Just check we've not missed anything. No, that's fine. Let's rotate around the other way. Just drag it on. Again, just make sure you've got faces selected and not bodies, otherwise it will try and do the whole body. Because although we split the faces, it's still one solid body. Okay, so we've got those colours there, and the rest we just need as white. So let's just drag our ABS on white that we've already got. So you see that's definitely starting to look a little bit more realistic. We'll look into render in a second just to see how it's looking. Okay, and then let's just go to bodies and just drag that on there and say remove appearances. Now we want to keep them, so it's not going to get rid of. So we could have done that and saved ourselves a bit of time, but it's not a big thing. So let's just come out of there and let's just go to render. So there you go, it looks a lot more toothpaste tubey. Looks like it's been squeezed. We've got some details on there. Last little bit, then we'll add a little decal on there. Okay, back over to the design. Now before we do that, let's just check. We've got two bodies. So we've got this body. Okay, so let's go to new component. Let's call that toothpaste tube. Hit enter, and then let's just drag those in. Okay, so we've got that there. So then let's go to insert and decal. Now I've already got a decal saved. I'm going to insert, and then if I go to my file, I should have this one. If I then click on the surface I want to do it on, go to the top surface, rotate around, and because we've got chain faces on, it's going to try and keep it wrapping around, which is quite useful. Rotate around a little bit more so it looks a bit more realistic. I'll make it look a bit bigger. Let's bring it down here. Hit OK. Let's just see how that looks. Yeah, that definitely looks a lot more realistic. Let's try and move it to the side a little bit so I can run edit, feature. I can drag that over. So it's distorted, so it's tried to wrap it up to make it realistic. Let's have a look. You can see it's tried to like wrap it over the spaces, so I quite like that. I think that looks quite good. And let's do the same on the other side. Let's go to design, wrap over. So because we've done chain faces, which is why I don't normally like it, is try to wrap it around the back as well. So let's just see what happens if we insert a decal on this side, insert from computer. Let's try this one. Let's see what happens. It might not. It might be that we just move the decal a little bit. Okay, let's have a look and see what happens. Yeah, that's still visible a little bit. It's probably messed up on that side. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's just go back. Let's edit this feature. So then actually, rather than have it over the spaces, which would still work if we only wanted it on one side, let's bring it over here. Okay, and let's do the same on the other side. Let's edit feature, and let's bring that over this way. And every turn, chain faces off. Ooh. Okay, let's just see what's happened on this side. Okay, let's play around. Let's just take chain faces off. Maybe we can make it a little bit smaller. Let's have a look. And let's just do the same on this side as well. Let's edit decal. Make it a little bit smaller. Bring it into position. Oh, no, I don't want to stretch that. Let's turn chain faces off. And hopefully now that has gotten rid of any of the extra. Yes, that's not on there anymore. So let's just go to design, render. So there you go, you can see that looks a lot more realistic. So I'd say that toothpaste tube now is done. So that is like the first part of the little project we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the design. Let's just save it. So autosave is on, but just save it as an extra bit of safety as well. So I'm now going to create a new document, and then I'm going to start to do the toothbrush. So we're going to right click, make a new component. Let's call this toothbrush head. Hit enter, and we're going to click on sketch there. I'm going to draw a little profile out. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with a couple of lines. So we're going to start here and we're going to come up 9mm, hit enter, do another line, come out 7mm, hit enter, come down, do 3, hit enter, line again, come out and do 1, and then we're just going to get a little arc just to create a roundness, go 3-point arc, connect those two ends together, just pull it out to where we think it looks about right, go and finish sketch, let's try revolve, so it automatically selects the profile, the axis we want is that one, like that. Then if I decide I don't quite like that curve, I can always go back to the sketch here, edit, I can try and drag that in a bit more, and see that looks much better. So that's the basic sort of outline of the head. Let's just fillet this end, oh not that one, and that end there, do 0.5, like that. So we've got the overall head bit. Let's do the little neck part now. So we want to create a sketch and we want to go on this middle plane. So this plane should be right in the middle of the head. Okay, I'm going to click on there, and then we want a circle to be in a very specific place. So I'm going to click on line, and I'm going to click on construction line here. Then I'm going to click on the top surface, and I want to come down 3mm. Okay, now I'm just doing that so it's a reference line. So then I can click on this circle, make sure I've got construction line off, and then I'm going to do a 5mm circle and hit enter and click on finish sketch. So I then want to do a midplane. I'm going to click on that surface. Now remember, if you can't click on anything, if you hold down with your mouse, you are able to select multiple, like you can point through things to get other things that you want. So let's go to offset plane. I want this surface and we want to come out 60mm. And then let's go on here, create a sketch. And we want to do it right from the middle of that circle, and we want to do a circle that is 10mm. So we're going to do 10mm, hit enter, and finish sketch. So we've got two profiles we then want to loft, so we're going to go to create and loft. I want to loft that profile, and I'll loft it to there. Now at the minute, because it's red, it's set to cut. Let's try join and see how it looks. Click on OK. So I'm happy with that. If I didn't want that to be that high up, I could always go back to this sketch here. I could go on edit sketch and pull that further down. I could change the dimensions I could put in there. So for example, if I wanted to change that to 5, hit enter and finish sketch, you'd see that now what's happened is it's lowered the head, but that's not where I want it. I wanted it to be there. I'm happy with that. So then let's, at the end bit, now if we were going to make this properly, if you like engineering side of it, we would have to make the actual mechanism for how it all works. We're not doing that. We're just kind of modeling, getting used to the modeling workspace of making things look realistic. So we're not going to worry too much about that side of things. I'm going to drag in here. Let's do an offset of, what did I say? I think I said, let's try, oh no, -4. No, way too much. -2 looks about right. Then let's extrude that. Let's go -3. Make sure it's on cut. So you see there, I've got the little, it's basically like the little docking bit where the head of the electric toothbrush would attach. So I've got the overall shape now of the toothbrush head. So I'm then going to make sure I save, because I haven't saved. That's not very good. So let's go to, how I can spell, brush video. So I'm going to new component, and let's call this brush body. And you see it's ghosted out the other component. If ever you want to change, like see both of them together, you can just click on that. But what happens is if this is the active component, which means the little dot is next to it, it ghosts out all the other components because it makes it a lot easier when you've got multiple components, like quite a few together, to see what you're doing. So when I create a sketch on that surface there, again, I'll finish sketch because it's already made the profile for me. I'm going to extrude. Now I could have drag out because I know it was 3mm, but say I'd forgotten or I wasn't 100% sure, I can just click on the surface that I want to extrude it to, and it will automatically jump to the distance that I wanted. Now it automatically won't join it because it's a separate component now, so I'm going to click on OK, and then I'm going to click on sketch. Let's go right to the middle, which should snap to the middle for us, no problem. Then we are going to do, let's try like 15. Go on E for extrude. Let's click both those profiles. Let's just come down 5mm. And then just quickly, I'm going to put everything on, and I'm just going to do some fillets. So I'm going to fillet this edge. Let's do 0.5. Then let's do a fillet here. Let's do quite a bit more. Oh, way too much. Like that, so it's starting to look a lot more realistic. Okay, and then I'll go back down to just doing my brush body. Let's do a little fillet on that edge there, so let's fillet. Okay, and then I'm going to create a sketch on that bottom one. And the body height, or body width, sorry, so I've got as 25. So with your circles, if you go near, you should then see a little circle symbol. That means you're in the middle of that circle. So we want this to be 25 diameter. Hit E for extrude, click both of those profiles, and the overall length of that body I've got down as 120, like that. And we zoom out, you can see what we've done. So we've sort of made our overall rough shaping of our toothbrush head and our body. So we'll add a couple of fillets again just to sort of make it look less harsh, because in reality nothing is very, very straight edged. That for the most part is what tends to make sketches or models not look realistic if things are very, very sharp edged. Because yeah, apart from things that purposely have sharp edges like knives and like things like that, most things have, even if it's a very, very small fillet, do have a fillet on the end of it. Okay, so we've got the overall shape. Now we're going to make sure we start, like with the toothbrush, start to add some more details in. So I'm going to start by doing some little grippy parts to our brush. So I'm going to go to construct and go tangent plane and just click on this edge here. And like we did with the toothbrush, we're going to do a toothpaste, sorry. We're going to click on sketch, just rotate it around. And I'm going to use the spline. And I'm just going to sort of freehand, again, no sort of technical way for doing this. I'm going to just design where I reckon some little grippy bits would be. Some little textured, ergonomic parts of the handle, really. And then again, hit on the arrow. Now, like before, I want it straight down the middle. So I'm going to do a line. Just to show you, the size of that line really doesn't matter. So it's a tiny, tiny line there. I'm going to create a mirror. Objects to mirror is that line there. The mirror line is this line. Hit OK. Remember, you need to be, if you're mirroring a sketch line, you need to be in sketch mode to do that. So some people tend to finish their sketch, then try and mirror the lines afterwards, and you can't. That will only do it if you want to mirror a body and not an actual line itself. Go to finish sketch. So then we're going to split the body. So I'm going to do split body. Body split is that one. Splitting tools, we would like this one and this one. So you see now we have got the body split there. So we're going to push that in. So what we can do, we've got push pull. I'm going to type in like -3. Oh, far too much. I'll do -1. So it's always worth having a little trial and error of doing little bits so you can see how it looks. So we've got little grippy bits there. I'm quite happy with that. Let's do the same on this one. So push pull. So we did -1, like that. Now I'm just going to rotate my whole model round because it's getting a little bit fiddly too. Oh, a little bit fiddly to move things around. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to move, and then I am just going to make sure I select the right one. That will be -90. Let's just bring this round here, and that would be 90. Let's do 180, like that. So, and capture position. The whole reason I'm doing that is just so it's a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing. So I don't want to sort of fillet these edges, make it look a little bit more realistic again. So let's fillet. Let's hold control on my keyboard, do the same on this side. And the whole reason for doing this is just trying to make it look like it has those sort of nice ergonomic handles. Let's try 2.5. That looks okay. So you see it's definitely starting to look like it's got little inlaid grippy bits. So now let's just add a little bit more onto that. So we can do tangent plane again. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to create a sketch. So I'm going to make sort of like little raised bobbly bits for the grip. So I'm going to P for project because I want to have this little profile outline here. Hit OK. So you can see on my sketch plane now, it's going to like a little purple outline for me. So then what I'm going to do is go to rectangle and just draw a rectangle across like that. It's up to you what sort of size grips bits you like. Some people like to do little circly grippy bits as well. It really is down to preference. And then I'm going to click on finish sketch. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm going to go back to that because I wanted to pattern that. So I'm going to edit. I'm going to create a rectangular pattern. I'm going to double click on one line, select all of it, and drag down to where I want the last grippy bit to be. And let's just up those. Let's say I want to have 5 grippy parts and hit OK. So that same sort of thing with Mirror. If you're in Sketch, it'll do sketches. If you're not in Sketch, it'll do solids. Pattern would have done the same thing. So I'd tried to pattern that rectangle, and it wouldn't have worked because I'd have been solid bodies as opposed to sketching. Now I'm going to hit finish, and I'm going to emboss. Now we've not used emboss before. I'm going to go to create and emboss, and it'll say what profiles. So I want to do these profiles here. What face do you want to do it to? That face. Now if I zoom in, you can see what's happening now is those profiles are wrapping around the cylinder. If we had extruded that, it wouldn't have wrapped it around and kept it even. It would have looked a little bit odd. So it's a very good idea. Like emboss is a relatively new tool in Fusion, but it's really useful to use. So I can do emboss. I can also do deboss, so it will cut in if I want to. And then you can play around with the sort of sizes. I quite like 2mm, but let's have a look. So I've got 1. I mean, you can even put a lot bigger in if you wish to. Although that doesn't look quite right, does it? So let's go. I think 2 was about right. Okay, now I want that to be on the other side, but before that, I want to just fillet these edges. In fact, no, let's mirror that over. So we're going to do the same on this side. So we're going to go to Construct and Tangent Plane. Click on this surface here. Click on OK. Now we're going to go to Sketch. Now it would be very difficult for me to line up exactly where I wanted, and we can't mirror emboss it for some reason. It doesn't seem to like that. So I'm going to project where these are. So I'm going to hit P on my keyboard, and I'm going to click on this profile, this profile, this profile, and those profiles. Click OK. Then if I rotate around the way of the sketch, you'll see that on there now in the exact same position. So I can go to Finish Sketch, Create and Emboss. So now I can just select those profiles nice and easily. Face is that one. Now it should remember the exact settings you've done, but does just double check. So I did 2mm, I did emboss as well. Click on OK. So now I've got my little ergonomic grippy parts that I wanted. I think I'll just fillet those so it looks a little bit more realistic. So let's select those profiles. Do them all at the same time because they're all going to be exactly the same. we go. So let's type in, let's try like 1, see how that looks. Okay, let's just see what happens if I click on this surface. How does that look? Okay, so let's click on these end pieces as well to make it look a little bit more rounded off. So remember, if you're in the middle of doing filling, you can always just hold down Control with your keyboard and then select other geometry to then fill it. And check, see how it's looking. Let's rotate around to the side. Do the same on this side. Okay, so let's just come back out at home, see how we're looking. Okay, looks really good. Last little bit in terms of detail, or 2 little things. Let's add some bristles and let's add a little switch. So in fact, let's do a switch now. So let's go to construct and tangent plane. Okay, let's just do a little switch down here. So let's go to create. Let's go to create a sketch. Sorry. Let's go to create and slot, center slot. Let's do a switch in the middle. That's what comes down about there, like that. Then we can extrude that down. Just come to the side so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to come in a little bit. But then I'm going to go to 2-sided so I can make the switch look like it's coming out a bit as well. Let's change that to join. Hit OK. And then let's have a look. We'll try with chamfer and we'll try with fillet and see which looks better. Let's bring that in. Actually, I think fillet was the right, chamfer, sorry, was the right move. So let's stick with chamfer. Yeah, let's stick with that. Okay. We've got a little switch there. And then really, last little bit in terms of details, let's add our bristles. So let's go to sketch on the surface of our head. Now we're going to do 3 rows of bristles. Let's just do offset. Okay. Remember, you can't offset an offset line, so we're going to keep going back to the original line. Come in like that. And let's do it one more time. Like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just open my sketches because I have to go back later and open my sketches again. So I'm going to click on circle, and I want the circle to be right in the middle, so I'm going to come up from the middle. It should snap to there, so I'm going to come out, and I find about 1 mil to be about right. And then what I'm going to do is E for extrude, select those profiles, and I found about 9 mil seemed about the best measurement to do. Make sure it's on join, hit OK. Now the sketches have disappeared, which is why I opened the sketches folder, so I can turn it back on again. I'm going to go to create pattern, circular pattern. It's already on feature, so I'm going to click on that extrude axis, click on that circle, and then let's see, I think, was it like 18 I did? Click on OK. Yeah, I think 18 looks about right. Then let's click on sketch, do the same thing again. So we're going to go to circle, make sure we're right in the middle, come up. Let's do 1 mil. E for extrude. Because if you're struggling to hold that profile, make sure you hold down on that mouse so you can get the right one. So extrude, and we said 9 mil. We want them all to be the same length. So if I then didn't know that, for example, let's say if I had like 1, if I wanted to match up, I could just click on the edge of this bristle, and it will automatically jump up to the right distance again. Click on OK. Now I want to pattern that one as well, so I'm going to go to Create, Pattern, Circular Pattern. I'm going to go to Features, click on this feature, Axis. Okay, now we did 18, so we want to do slightly less, so let's try 16, see how that looks. Okay, see how it's starting to look. And then let's do it one more time. Sketch, circle, make sure it's in the middle. So if I just hover over the middle and then just bring my mouse up, it'll give me a little reference line. Go to 1. Again, E for extrude. I'm going to hold down so I can select the right profile. Distance, well, I've completely forgotten, so I'm just going to click on this as a reference. That's going to do exactly what I wanted. And then let's pattern that last one around. So I'm going to Create and go to Pattern, Circular Pattern, Features, Extrude, Axis, that middle bit. Let's try 12, see how that looks. Okay, and we can turn that sketch off because I don't need it anymore. I've now got bristles. So we zoom out, I think in terms of our toothbrush modelling, we're very much done there. So now we're going to have a look at adding some materials, and then we'll have a look at trying to build up our scene as well. So we're going to go to A for appearances. Now we're going to stick with ABS, so I'm going to bring that up here. Now I'm going to do, because this is all in one body, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this whole body as one colour first, which is the colour that I want it to be, and then I'm going to change the little features later because otherwise I've got to do each bristle individually, which will take quite a long time. So let's just try that. Okay, so let's drag that over. See, and that's done all the bristles the colour I wanted. So now I'm going to jump over to faces and then bring in the white. And the reason I've done that is otherwise I would have had to select each individual bristle. Okay, I've not got that many bristles, but I've known some students end up with like 900 odd bristles, so you would literally be there forever. So sometimes changing the whole colour just to change certain little fiddly bits first and then going back makes your life a little bit easier. And zoom out, what have we got any under there? No, we're okay. So zoom out, see how we're looking. So that's looking really, really good. Let's just add. Okay. Right, so we've got some textures, we've got some plastics. So we do still want plastic, but we do have some textured plastic. So let's go down to textured, texture plastic random. Let's bring that up. Let's change that to a nice, so most toothbrushes are a bit of a brighter colour really. So let's have a look. Let's go for like a nice sort of, how does that look? Drag that in, excellent, that looks really good I think. Let's bring this over, keep the colours we want. So if you look in there, you can start to see the textured parts, so you can see how it's starting to look. So let's just keep, remember it's a good habit to just sort of jump into render and see how things are looking. I'm really pleased with that. I'll just change the colour of the switch so it looks, it stands out a little bit more. Go to A for appearances. Let's go back to ABS white. Let's duplicate. Let's change. Well, first of all, I want black. Let's do that. Let's change up the faces. Just bring that onto that fillet. And then actually, let's just see how this looks if we do this. Nice textured switch. Click on close. Zoom out. Okay, let's jump over to render. Okay, I'm really happy with that. I say really, we're pretty much done with that. So I am just going to save just so it's there. Now I've got our toothbrush and our toothpaste in two separate files. Okay, so I'm going to just close one. It doesn't matter which one. What's that error for? Okay, it's disappeared. I think that's because I hadn't saved online yet. So then I'm going to go into my data panel and find the one that I was just working on. So where are we? So it should be found my video. So I'm going to right click, go into insert into current design and click on it. And it'll bring it into the middle of my document, literally in the middle. That's obviously not where I want it, so I'm going to have to move it around a little bit, move it into position. Maybe I want to rotate it around a little bit. Okay, that's still not where I want it, so let's continue to move. And you all the way down. Okay, now let's have a look. So let's go to capture position. Let's go into render. So you can see we've got a toothbrush and our toothpaste, which on its own would be fine, but as we've seen in the previous videos, we want to sort of like have a scene and a context. So that's the last little bit of this video we're going to do, sort of try and give it more context and render a final scene for it. So just before that, we've brought in our toothbrush, our toothpaste. Now it says here it's got a link. Now what that means is it's linked to that previous document. So if I edit it in this document, it'll be edited in the overall document. So I don't really want that. So I'm going to go to right click and break link. Now if I do something to this, it won't affect the other one. So I'm just going to change the name of this as well. So let's call this toothpaste. So you see here, we've got our components. So it's a very good idea to make sure you keep naming your components. So we've got toothbrush head, body, and toothpaste. You don't have to do it, but it really is good practice, particularly when you have more complex shapes. And then also, if you're going to start doing technical drawings from your models, you need to have separate components. So I'm going to draw one other extra little bit first, and then I'm going to sort of build a scene for it. And I think what I'm going to do is, with your electric toothbrush, you need to have a little charger that goes with it. So let's just make a sketch. And we're going to go circle. And I've not got exact measurements for this, I'm just sort of trying to make it look as realistic as possible. Let's just move this down. Oh. Okay. E for extrude. I'm going to bring it up. And I want to taper it in a little bit. Like that. Then let's go to, in fact, let's just do shell. Let's do shell. Bring it in. But let's do a bit more of a thicker shell than that, I feel. Okay, so we've then, in my bodies here, let's make new component, let's call this brush charger. And then let's have a cable coming out of it. So we're going to go to construct tangent plane. Let's do this surface here. To rotate around. Do the same again. Construct tangent plane. Again, this is all so that we can have a mid plane. Hopefully getting used to the idea of using planes to sort of get what you want. Once you get used to it, it makes your life a lot easier. Because remember, you can't just draw things in the middle of nothing. You need a plane or a surface to do it on. Okay, so we've got this mid plane. I'm going to create a sketch. Let's go to spline. I'm going to just have it coming in. I'm just going to sort of do a little bit of a random sort of wiggly cable type of thing. Go to finish sketch. And then I'm just going to move some of these points so it looks a little bit more realistic. So let's right click, move. Let's just move you. Oh. Let's delete that. If you ever see any purple lines on there, what that's done is Fusion has sort of like constrained your sketch a little bit, which a lot of the time is helpful, but sometimes it does fix things in place and it becomes a bit annoying. So just sometimes if things aren't moving, it's because it's trying to constrain something for you. And all I'm doing now is just clicking on each one of these points and moving them off a flat plane just to sort of make it look. Okay, so there I didn't click on that, I just clicked on the whole line, which I didn't want. I wanted this exact point. Just because it then makes it look more like a wire. And all these sort of things do make your model look more realistic, particularly with the end scenes. Okay, so I'm going to go to Create and Pipe, click on this, and let's try like 5. Now we want that to join. Okay, so we see we've still got a bit of cable. Now we don't want this bit in here, so let's go to, in fact, yeah, we'll go to split body with that surface there. Okay, then what I can then do is find out which body that is. Let's go and edit and remove. And nice and easy, I can just okay, so all that was just to sort of get my cable looking real. Then let's just do a little charger on there, like this little bathroom charger that you see. I'm going to click on Sketch, Rectangle, Center Rectangle, just go to the middle of it. Again, there's no exact way to what I'm doing, I'm just trying to see what I think looks right. And the main part of this project really was to do the toothbrush and the toothpaste, but scenes do matter. It does, like I say, I've said it a few times already, it gives your model context, which particularly for those that are wanting like the A's, A stars at A level, make a huge difference. Let's just fill it these edges a little bit, round them down. And in reality, these little things, they don't take a huge amount of time to do, but it does make a huge difference in terms of how your work is perceived. And then if you then go into industry, this is how you would then present to like a client and those sorts of things. Let's try, okay. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to just make a little charger socket. Okay, so I'm going to use some construction lines here just to find the middle. Okay. Find the middle. Don't want that bit, so I'm going to click on circle. So that would find the middle for me. Let's create and mirror. Let's mirror that line. So we know that they are equal. Let's go on E for extrude. Bring those out a little bit. And let's just fill it the ends. Like I said, there's no right and wrong way of doing this, it's just sort of how you think looks best. So if I come out now, you see I've made a little charging port. Let's add some materials. So we're on bodies, so let's ABS white. Then I think for faces here, let's duplicate, change that to black. fact, let's just see, this will probably make a life a bit faster. Okay, and then let's do faces for this. Let's bring ABS white. There you go, yeah. Oh, no, back in the wrong one. We'll jump over to render in a second just to see how we're looking. And then let's use steel here just to make it look like proper pins. Okay, so let's close our menu. Let's just have a look in renders. Let's go to render. Then you can see now it looks a lot more realistic. So the last thing now is we're going to just draw a little scene for it. So what I've found here, I'm going to do sort of like a little sync counter. So I found an image like this, not a massively difficult thing to do, but again, just sort of when you go into render, in reality, things don't just float in nothingness. So at the minute, okay, the models are very, very nice, okay, but it kind of looks like things are just sort of floating in the middle of nothingness, which we sort of want to avoid. So let's go to the top surface. So we are going to create a sketch on this surface here. Let's do a rectangle. Oh, again, there's no exact measurements for what I'm doing. I'm just trying to go proportions wise of what I think will look about right. Let's move this. Now we will move everything so it looks like it's sitting on there, but at the minute we're just sort of getting the overall shapes of what we want. So let's try minus 950. Let's try a bit more. Okay. Now we definitely want to have our sink on there. So let's have a look. Let's go to a rectangle. Okay, and all I'm doing now is just trying to model a decent looking. Like you want to spend a little bit of time on your scene, but you don't spend a huge amount. And then let's go to fillet, fillet. These edges, let's bring them in. Okay, let's model our bathroom taps. So let's rectangle. Let's find the middle so we know we're going to be okay. That's probably a little bit too big, so let's just do an offset. Let's see, let's try that instead. Yeah, you do have to be careful sometimes. You don't want to make things look out of proportion. That's what sometimes makes scenes look a little bit off. It ends up looking a bit out of proportion. Okay, let's Hopefully this will start to make sense in a minute. I really am just trying to freehand sort of how I think a nice bathroom would look, like a bathroom, like countertop. Okay, I think we'll probably have a little towel rail. Come in. Now here, because I'm going to do a towel rail, so this is a nice little trick if you want to do like anything pipe-like. I'm going to come nowhere near, actually that's far too far out. Do like, yeah, like that. I'm going to change it to new body. Okay, and I'm going to go to create. Oh no, first of all I'm going to fillet, sorry. So I'm going to fillet these edges round. Okay, and now I'm going to go to pipes, I'm going to go to create and pipe. Click on that surface. I'm going to click on new body. Now which body? Okay, I don't want that anymore. What I can then do, move this down into position like that, so I've got what looks like a nice little towel rail. So let's start to add some materials. So there is actually a very, very good amount of material options in Fusion for you to play around with. So it's definitely worth having a look. Two faces. But let's do this. There we go. Then let's go to faces. And we'll keep jumping back over to render in a second to see how it's looking. I'm sure we've got some marble. Marble white. Let's have you come in here. Actually, I want to fillet these edges a little bit as well, because otherwise it's going to look a little bit too harsh. So I think we're nearly done, so let's just okay, let's have a little bit of a look. Okay, so that's definitely starting to look. I think that's proportion wise is quite good. We'll move them into position a little bit as well. So let's put a little back on there. Let's go to create sketch. Drag it up. Come quite a bit of the way up. Finish. E for extrude. No, I don't want to join because otherwise it's going to take the marble, which I don't want. So let's go to new body. And then everyone's got a mirror in front of their sink, otherwise you can't brush your teeth. So let's just do construction line first just to check that I'm being accurate, just to come up so I know that's the middle, like that. Then let's turn construction off. Move it down a little bit. Okay. Extrude that out. Okay, let's go to new body. Do appearances. Let's do like a nice dark wood. Let's see what we've got. Okay, and then we do have a mirror. So let's look for a mirror. Again, let's jump into render. See how it's going to look. So I'm just going to extend these out because you don't want to see any of these grey bits. Let's come out. Let's just go to press pull. Just drag you out. Like that. Do the same on this side. Press pull. So you don't want to see any of the grey, like photo booth, that you see with Fusion. So let's just drag out again. Okay. Go back into render. So the main feature obviously is the toothbrush and the toothpaste. That's what we're really after. But that's why it's good to have a little bit of a scene to make the rest of it look more realistic. And I might do like a little plug socket there. Okay, so that really is your toothbrush, toothpaste project, mainly looking at loft and then sort of building a little scene to go along with it. At the end of this video, I will just show you a little screenshot of my final render. So just to show you render, so far we've looked at in-canvas render. What you can do, if you click on the little teapot here, you go to render as well. Because we've got an education account, we want to do cloud render and we'll do final. It'll say credits required. If you didn't have an education account, it would charge you, but it doesn't, which is really, really useful. Then click on render. It will say that it's starting. And then what will happen is if you go to the render gallery down here, click up, and this is where it will appear. Now it says it's going to take about 20 minutes, slightly less than 20 minutes. You can carry on working because it's done cloud rendering, it's not local, and then it will give you a nice high quality image of your finished model. So that is the end of the loft tutorial, toothbrush, toothpaste. If you've got any other questions or if there's any other kind of videos of modelling you want me to have a go at, please let me know.